A VPN, short for Virtual Private Network, is a privacy protection tool that is quickly becoming a must-have. But why do you need a VPN, and how does it work in the first place? A VPN helps your data travel through the internet safely, without big companies or cybercriminals being able to spy on your online activities. Also, a VPN swaps the real location of your device with a new one. This way, you can virtually travel to any country around the globe. So, who can benefit from a VPN? If you're worried about your online privacy, a VPN makes sure your identity and private information are not exposed when you go online. If digital security is your top priority, a VPN gives a nice additional layer of security. It encrypts your data so nobody could see what you send and receive. If you are a human rights activist whose freedom of speech is restricted, a VPN helps you to bypass censorship and speak to the world. Or, if you're on holiday in another country, with a VPN, you can bring your home entertainment anywhere you go. Here's a pro tip: check out Surfshark VPN. It has everything you need in a premium VPN, awesome speeds, and industry-leading protection that covers all of your devices. All you have to do is click connect. Secure your digital life and enjoy everything good that the internet has to offer with a VPN you can trust.
Click link in the description and get 81% discount for your first order. Making a gallery ledge shelf. Gather your supplies. A gallery ledge shelf is a small sill that you can attach to a wall and then present your pictures on. Wunxfer boards form the base and back of this shelf. In all, you'll need 2-inch screws 5 cm, 8 foot 2.44 in long Wunxfer board, 8 foot 2.44 in long Wunxfer board X2, clamps optional, drill and screw drill bit, level, pencil optional recommended, pocket hole jig optional, ruler/tape measure optional, saw optional, optional. Get your work area ready. You'll need a flat, open workspace to work efficiently. Your workbench/table should also be sturdy so it doesn't wobble during your shelf construction. Remove any obstacles or potential tripping hazards, like unused equipment and electrical cords. If you plan on painting or staining your shelf, you should do so in a well-ventilated area. Choosing a well-ventilated place, like an open garage, for your work area will prevent you having to relocate later when painting or staining. As part of your preparation, you may want to cut your boards down to size. The width of your shelf is customizable to your needs, so long as all boards are cut to the same length. Measure and mark 4 holes at regular intervals along the face of both long, thin sides of a Wunxfer, with each hole 1/4 inch 6.35 mm from the bottom edge. Then, drill a shallow pilot hole at each mark. Position your undrilled Wunxfer so it stands upright on its long, narrow edge. 1/4 inch 6.35 mm inward from the bottom of the long, narrow edge. Measure, mark, and drill 4 more holes at the same increments as your first Wunxfer. Position your Wunxfer so it stands upright on its long, narrow edge. 1/4 inch 6.35 mm inward from the bottom of the long, narrow edge. Measure, mark, and drill 4 more holes at the same increments as your Wunxfers. Drill pocket holes for a more finished look. Pocket holes are drilled into a flat surface on an angle so the fastener, in this case a screw, passes through a board to emerge at a 90-degree angle, forming an L shape, with a flat face of the board. This kind of hole will be a less noticeable way of connecting the Wunxfer back and the Wunxfer lip of your shelf to the Wunxfer base of the shelf. First, use a pocket hole jig to drill holes at the marks on your Wunxfer so the screws emerge at a 90-degree angle, forming an L shape to the face of the long, narrow sides of the Wunxfer. The Wunxfer with holes in the long, narrow faces will form the base of your shelf. At the holes, your other Wunxfer will attach to the back as a mount, and the Wunxfer to the front as a lip. Align and fasten your Wunxfer boards. Lay flat the Wunxfer with holes drilled along the middle of both faces of its long, narrow sides so that the holes of both sides are accessible, with 1/4 inch 6.35 mm of wood separating each hole from your work surface. Orient your second Wunxfer so it stands on the long, narrow edge where you've drilled holes. Then, line up the Wunkspers evenly so that an L shape is formed between the flat and upright boards. The pilot holes, having been drilled at the same increments, should also align. Take a screw and place it onto the screw bit of your drill. Push the screw lightly into the pilot hole so the tip sinks into the wood and steadies the screw. With your free hand, realign the boards, if necessary, so that both are even, then hold the boards firmly to prevent them from slipping while screwing. Hold the drill at a 90° angle to the board so it forms an L shape. Apply moderate pressure to the drill and slowly press the drill's button until the screw is flat against the board and fastens both boards together. Repeat this for each of the 4 holes. Attach your Wunkstwo board. Take your Wunkstwo and stand it on the long, narrow edge along which you drilled holes. Align it with your flat Wunkspur so that the ends are even. The holes drilled in both the Wunkstwo and Wunkspur should align, and the Wunkstwo and Wunkspur should form an L shape. Then, place a screw onto your drill bit and push the tip of the screw lightly into a pilot hole on your Wunkstwo. Make sure both boards are aligned with your free hand, then use that hand to hold the boards together firmly. Hold your drill at a 90° angle to the board so it forms an L shape. Apply moderate pressure to the drill and slowly press the button until the head of the screw is flat with the wood and fastens the 2 boards together. Repeat this for all 4 holes. Add personal touches if desired. Your shelf is all put together, but you may want to add some paint or staining to give your shelf a nice. One of the benefits of building your own shelf is that you can choose a color or stain that matches your home decor. Even if you don't consider yourself much of an artist, you can make simple spray paint stencils and use these to create cool designs on your shelf. Hang your shelf and display your pictures. For the safest installation of your shelf, you should find studs in the wall where you plan to hang your shelf. Studs will be more stable and prevent your shelf from pulling free of the wall. Then, measure and mark where on the wall studs you will attach the back of your shelf, the upright Wunkspur. For an 8-foot shelf, you should have 2 opposite side stud anchors, one on the right of the shelf, one on the left, for example. Each anchor should have 2 to 4 screws connecting the back of the shelf and wall. You should always check the levelness of your shelf with a carpenter's level before screwing in any screws. Hanging a shelf incorrectly can result in an unsightly slant. Having a second set of hands to help can prevent these kind of errors. Fashioning a picture frame shelf. Collect project necessities. This simple shelf is made from a picture frame. You can often find suitable, inexpensive frames at thrift and second-hand stores. Prioritize thick frames as these will better hide the wooden Wunkstwo ledge you'll adding behind the frame. Including these, you'll also need Wunkstwo boards equal in length to the outside perimeter of your frame. Thinner boards can be used for thinner frames. 2-inch screws, drill, glue, level, picture frame, saw, wall anchors, xtu, xtu. Prepare your work area. You're going to need to cut your Wunkstwo boards to the dimension of your picture frame, so you'll want to choose a work area where you can easily clean up sawdust, like a place with a hard floor. You'll also want a wide, sturdy, flat work surface, and a surrounding area clear of obstacles and tripping hazards. If you don't have a hard-floored work area available to you, you can cut down on cleanup by making a backyard workbench. Lay a wide, flat board between 2 sawhorses on a flat stretch of ground and you're good to go. Cut your Wunkstwo boards. Your Wunkstwo boards will follow the entire perimeter of the back of your picture frame, creating a ledge on which you can place your pictures. However, your Wunkstwo frame should be slightly smaller than the outer perimeter of the picture frame, but bigger than its inner perimeter. Cut your boards to the dimensions of your picture frame using your saw. Since you have chosen a thick frame, the outer perimeter around the outside of the frame will be larger than the inner perimeter on its inside. A Wunkstwo frame smaller than the outer perimeter but larger then the inner will allow part of the frame to extend beyond the Wangstuo frame, hiding it, while the inner perimeter will extend beyond the frame on the inside to create a lip. Decorate your Wangstuo boards, if desired. The unpainted wood of your Wangstuo frame can be made more appealing many ways. For example, you might add a coat of paint the same color as the wall on which you plan to hang your shelf, or you could stain the wood. It'll be easiest to paint your Wangstuo boards before they are assembled into a frame or attached to your picture frame. When painting and staining, follow the label directions carefully. Different brands may have special procedures or techniques to improve the outcome. Allow sufficient time for your decorations to dry before putting together your Wangstuo boards into a frame. Paint and staining can give off harmful fumes. Work in a well-ventilated area when doing either to prevent the injury or death. Assemble your Wangstuo frame. Lay out your now cut Wangstuo boards so each board corresponds to and forms a similar shape to your picture frame. Use your drill to connect each board to its neighbor with at least 2 screws. Before you fasten together any boards with screws, take your picture frame and place it atop your Wangstuo frame. If the width of the picture frame extends beyond the Wangstuo frame inside and out all around, your Wangstuo frame has been cut correctly. Attach your picture frame to your Wangstuo frame. Depending on the kind of picture frame you've chosen for this project, the glue you use to fasten your picture and Wangstuo frames together may vary. Lay your Wangstuo frame so it stands on its long, narrow edges, and apply your glue to the entire upward face of the long, narrow edges. In most cases, your picture frame will be wood, and a general-purpose wood glue will be most effective. Carefully lower the back of your frame onto the adhesive so the inside and outside perimeters of the frame extend beyond your Wangstuo frame. The long edges of both frames should be parallel. Follow the instructions on your glue to determine the length of time you'll need to wait until it is dry. Working on your frame before it has dried could cause it to fall apart. Fasten wall hangers to the Wangstuo frame. Because of the way the wood is positioned, it may be difficult for you to hang your picture frame shelf without wall hangers. These should be screwed into place on the back of the Wangstuo frame in the upper left and right corners. Install your shelf and show off your pictures. For most medium-sized frames, you should only need a single stud to mount your shelf sturdily to the wall. Large to very large frames might best be supported by 2 studs. Measure and mark where on the wall studs you plan to hang your shelf, then align your wall hangers with the marks you've made to indicate the placement of your shelf on the wall. Check the shelf with a level and adjust it until it is perfectly flat. Use your drill to fasten the first wall hanger to the wall with a screw. Recheck the levelness of the shelf, and then fasten the final wall hanger with a screw. Creating a hanging shelf, clamps, hammer and nails, leather punch, level, pencil, ruler/tape measure, sandpaper optional, recommended, saw optional, optional. Ready your work area. You'll need a flat, stable surface to work efficiently and safely. Clear any obstacles or tripping hazards, like electrical cords and unused equipment, out of the way. You may want to work somewhere with hard floor, like your garage, where it'll be easy to clean up wood dust and shavings. This line is where you will remove some wood to create a notch in which your pictures will be held. Angle the chisel low with respect to the board, with the slanted part of the chisel facing up. Slowly and carefully tap your chisel with a hammer to remove shavings and form your notch. Follow your notch line with your chisel and hammer from end to end long ways to create a shallow notch. Generally, your notch doesn't have to be very deep to effectively hold your pictures in place. If you plan on putting unframed pictures on this shelf, you'll only need a very thin notch that's not very deep. Pictures with thick frames will require thicker notches. If you are a little more familiar with woodworking and have the tool available, you may find it quicker and easier to use a wood router to cut your notch. In some cases, if the frame of a picture is too large, it may not fit easily or stably on this kind of shelf. Sand the board. After chiseling out the notch in your board, you may have burrs, splinters, or rough spots that remain in the wood. This can give your wood an unfinished look. Run a medium 6100 grit sandpaper over your notch until it's smooth. Depending on your home and space restrictions, you may want a low-hanging shelf, or you may want one that doesn't hang much at all. Attach the leather straps and shelf to the wall. It's always safest and most reliable to hang things on studs, but this small shelf will likely hang on most sturdy walls without causing damage even without a stud. To attach your hanging shelf, slide a nail through both punched holes of each leather strap so the strap forms a closed loop. Then use your hammer to hang the strap at the first mark on your wall. Then do the same with the second strap. Slide your wooden board, notched side facing up, into the loops formed by your leather straps. Slot pictures into the notch and enjoy your handiwork.